Hi everyone, my name is Charlie and today I have my currently reading video. The first book I'm reading, and I'm reading throughout the months of January and February, is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. Now I'm reading this with my friend Lindsay and she's a lot further ahead than I am. We're meant to reach the end of chapter 33 by the end of this month, which is next Sunday, and I am about a lot of pages. I think 380 pages away from getting there. I've employed Audible to try and help me. I've downloaded the audiobook, I'm listening to it at triple speed. I've read the first 220 pages of this, and I think the size is what kind of puts you off. It's over 1,000 pages long, and I know that Lindsay has already read this, so I'm using her, and I'm utilising all of my resources to try and get through this book, because I do like Brandon Sanderson as an author. I've only read Warbreaker and The Final Empire so far, but they are quite good. So apparently The Way of Kings is better. Lindsay says he really comes into his own in how he writes and everything here. I'm going to try and get to page 512 by the end of this week. I promise that I'm going to do this, and I do want to read this book. It's just, I have read quite a lot of books this month. It's just that this one didn't happen to be one of them. If anyone watches any of these videos at all, then they know that I am currently taking a break from writing. And I'm currently taking a break to find things that really interest me and to read the non-fiction books that I still haven't got to yet. And I have read quite a few non-fiction books this month. One book I have owned since 2013. And I've owned it since 2013 because another friend of mine, we were all in Bath. Quite a lot of us from the Writers' Forum had met up, we'd gone to Bath, and we went to see J.K. Rowling. She was doing the talk about the casual vacancy. I remember a lot about that weekend. I can't really remember most of the conversations we had, but I can remember Lydia mentioning something about bees, and that got me quite interested in bees. I don't know why. There was just something that was said, and I found it interesting, and then when I got this job at the charity shop, this book came in. It's called The Hive by B. Wilson, and it's the story of the honeybee and us. And so far I am 100 pages in, and I am still quite perturbed. People thought some weird things about bees in the past, basically. So each chapter is set out, it's all about how the bees relate to human beings, and how we have used them for allegory, and how we have taken this image of the bee to talk about other things. And each chapter is set out in relation to something we have. So the first chapter was work, and how we have used the way that bees work and live their lives to kind of say, well, this is actually a very good idea for how humans should be working. And currently I'm on the second chapter, which is sex. And would you believe, you probably could believe, there's some weird shit people believed about sex, basically. I mean, come on. It's a bee. I mean, maybe if I'd read The Crimson Petal and the White or any other book about Victorian prostitution, maybe I could have found out where they were rubbing that honey. But I didn't expect to find it in this book. In fact, I didn't expect to find it in any book. I was woefully uneducated on the fact of what they would use that honey for. I usually just put it in my yogurt or use it to cure a cold, but there is actually some quite good stuff in here about history, and it's made me want to go and read some classic authors, which I haven't. They talk about the Greeks and the Romans, and basically it's a very long history that we have with the bee, and it's quite interesting. This whole writing break is about finding out more about what interests me and looking into those interests, and although, like I say, I'll never be an entomologist, I'll never be a beekeeper, I'm still glad to be reading about the bee. It makes it sound like I lead a very dull life, and believe me, I do. Have I had the most boring life of anyone I've ever met? Yes. Yes, I have. I am an incredibly boring person. I rarely leave my house. I've not yet reached the stage of, like, train watching or plane watching, or going down on and sitting on benches and seeing what colour cars go past. I've not yet reached that stage, but it's always a possibility, isn't it? You've always got to, like, make plans for these sorts of things, so that if one day you do actually reach the stage of writing down how many red cars you've seen. You've at least got the notebook and pen. This was a revelation. For no one. For no one. I think if anyone has watched these videos, you understand how much of a boring person I am. I'm so boring, even my goldfish committed suicide. Until next time, that is all.